Okay. What's the danger of meditation? What is the danger of meditation? Well, there's lots of dangers. I mean, there's nothing in and of itself dangerous about meditation. It's what we do with it, of course. It's what we make of it, of course, that is where danger can come in. So there is no danger in meditation. There's danger in us. We're the dangerous one. Probably the biggest, easiest trap to fall into with meditation is that we start to use it to avoid ourselves, avoid our feelings, to avoid our thoughts, and that is not the value or the point of meditation. Meditation, I get that this is the way the world tends to use meditation, right? Is to make ourselves feel better. We could call it a soporific, I feel like there's another good juicy word like that. We tend to start to use it to make ourselves feel better. And very easily, feeling better can become our goal. And what happens if we make feeling better our goal? Well, it's just another, we will we will start repressing ourselves is what happens if we make that the goal, the purpose of meditation. Which begs the question, what is meditation for then? What's the value in it? The value is it's a place, it's an activity where we can start to meet ourselves. And how do you get to know something? By spending time. Like, how do you get to know a person? You spend time with them. Ask questions. Be in activity together. Not be in activity together. Just be together. So the real value of meditation is we start to consciously meet ourselves. That's what we're doing if we're sitting on a cushion. That's what we're doing if we're, stopping wherever it is, whatever it is we're doing, for however long. We are meeting ourselves. And meeting ourselves is not a process necessarily of feeling good. Meeting ourselves meeting ourselves in a real way means good, bad, ugly. Whatever arises, that's meeting ourselves. And sometimes that process is very uncomfortable. What happens if I go to meet myself, aka meditate, and what I experience is a twisting, horrible knot in my stomach? All of a sudden, my motivation to sit there, to meditate, if you will, to meet myself, might that motivation might start to go out the window. That desire I had to sit on that cushion might start to evaporate very quickly. So in spite of, what the 100,000 books out there might say meditation is for, meditation is not for making ourselves feel better, get more grounded, I don't know, whatever the fuck else. Like, it's just not. That is part of the world of repression. That's what it's a good way to end up very repressed. And it's a very, very easy mistake to make. Because we're hooked up to feel good. We like things that feel good. And we tend to ignore and avoid things that we don't like, things that feel bad. One of the most basic impulses of being a human being. And it's literally hardwired into our biology. So if you sit down on a cushion and you experience terror, you're not doing anything wrong. It just so happens that terror is what is arising, what is for you. And there's all kinds of techniques out there. And a lot of techniques are designed to produce a certain kind of experience. Which is another way of saying, force an experience upon ourselves. And I'm just going to assume if you're here and you've made it this far, that's not what you're looking for. One can force any number of experiences upon ourselves, right? If you want to force an experience upon yourself, you can go on a roller coaster. You'll have an experience. Go skydiving. You'll have an experience. But I am assuming, if you're here, that what you are interested in is the natural state. Who and what you are when you're not forcing an experience upon yourself. And so, the problem is it takes a lot out of the realm of speech, right? What is meditation without a practice? What is meditation without a whole bunch of instructions? And what is meditation without something to do? Well, it's a lot. It's a lot less. And it's not very easily put into words. Learning how to be with ourselves. That's a pretty good description. Learning how to be with ourselves without going somewhere else, without avoiding something in us. Learning how to be with ourselves without getting carried away completely by the next thought. Learning how to be with ourselves. Not so we don't feel, but so we don't get necessarily carried away by the next feeling. Learning to listen to ourselves. With so much more silence. Than we thought, we might find. There's a lot of traditions where the meditation techniques move towards less and less and less and less. I'm not particularly a Zen guy, but the little bit of exposure I've had, there's like, oh, we're gonna start, we're just gonna count. And then, we're going to get to just breathing. And then, we're going to get to the gap between the in-breath and the out-breath. And that's nice. And in my, from my perspective now, it's still forcing the hell out of myself to do something. And it's avoiding what it is that's really arising. The content that arises in my consciousness is not arising without reason. The content that comes up in my consciousness has a significance. It's almost always an illusory significance, but it has a significance to me that's very personal. Nevertheless, illusion or no. And it wants to be seen through. It wants to be seen. The illusion, the illusoriness of it wants to be seen. Whether it's on an emotional level or the level of thought. And sometimes that means a willingness to get lost. Am I willing to get lost in my own bullshit? Am I so willing to see through and through and through this material that keeps arising in my consciousness? Am I so willing to see through it that I'm also willing to get lost in it? I'm not saying one has to lose themselves in illusion to find one's way out the other side. But it's probably going to happen. Am I willing to be lost so I can find myself? It's a different way of saying the same thing. In other words, am I willing to meet myself? Really. Not just on the level of thought. Am I willing to meditate with my heart and my mind? And this is why, I don't necessarily I don't necessarily have a regular meditation practice. The only thing that's regular about my meditation practice is if I want to sit down, if I feel called to sit down, if there's something plaguing me, something pulling me out of the flow of life, then I'm going to sit down. Those are the times I'm going to sit down. If I feel called to sit down, I'm going to sit down. It just sort of makes sense to sit down. And if I flow my way, in a sense, into sitting down and meditating, then that's what I'm doing. And if I find myself confused, unclear, not in the flow of life, then I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to encounter myself. Which is not to say that, a regular practice isn't beneficial for somebody. For you, it might be, right? For me, at some point, meditation had to leave my cushion. Formal meditation is a great, beautiful thing. And it just wasn't enough for me. What about the other, however many, 20-something hours in my day when I'm not meditating? What about those? Is meditation just this thing I do on the cushion? What about the rest of my life? So meditation involves a lot of life for me now, right? Meditation involves whatever it is I'm doing. Working, playing, right? But where it's really important is where it's not, doesn't feel natural, doesn't feel like flow. The parts of my life that are flowing, working well, I don't need to worry about. Don't need to worry about any of it. But I don't need to do anything about, right? It's where I encounter stuckness. That's what's worthy of my attention. That's someplace I'm not meeting myself. It's a very easy question to ask of oneself, right? Where's my life not working? You know, we can say, oh, it's not working in this sphere. Why it's not working? It's probably, the why is probably different than our first thought about it. Or our belief about it. This is my belief about why it's not working here. Almost assuredly, it is not. But if we start from it's not working, we get curious and we start to investigate in a feeling way, in a meditative way, then there might actually be some kind of resolution. Yeah, so those are those are some of the major dangers of mistreatments we can make out of a meditation practice.